What is going on? I want to thank you for coming by to Vape with the Viking. So today I got, of course, another SteamCrave product here, one of their newer ones that I know a couple of you out there were like, "You're gonna get this done. I want to know what's going on with that." So of course, we're talking about is their new Surpreme V3. So nice little multi-use 25 millimeter RTA. I do have it with the bubble glass in there, and as you'll see in the dive down, I have the more open or bigger diameter chimney. They do have two different chimneys, one that's very restrictive and one that's just a regular restrictive hit. What I'm running today is actually I haven't put this down since I've been playing with this guy, but we got some Prohibition Speakeasy, which I bought from Danny at After Dark Vapes over on Facebook. So really good guy if you need some almost wholesale costs on juices and stuff like that. And running some new coils from a new coiler that I had met. Sorry, Zero. But, little triple C coils in there through a couple coils in there. Right now, I do have it in the dual coil mode or the postless deck. Ran, of course, in the single coil deck for quite a while. Moved over to the dual with this, rocking it. And I did not put the mesh deck in there just because literally the mesh deck is the exact same mesh deck that SteamCrave is putting in pretty much everything now, like the Plus V2, all that kind of stuff. So I know how that one's going to perform, and I'm not a huge rebuildable mesh fan. But we're looking at, we're running this on, looks like a 62 watts is what I have it on. Of course, it's not going to focus on that one. But yeah, 62 watts. It's a 1-2 build, and you can go a lot hotter on these coils, definitely. But with this root beer, because that's what Speakeasy is a root beer float, you start getting it too hot, and it just starts making that sarsaparilla pop so hard that it takes away some of the creaminess. And then I'm on the second airflow, fully open, not the one slot, but the 2 rows. And show you how this is going here on the little throwback. But I thought the colors matched really well with that drip tip or Lost Vape Mirage DNA 75. Yeah, working really well. I mean, the juice itself is really good anyway, but with this whole setup, I mean, it's just really good. I do like the single coil setup for at least battery life, but the dual coil with this running at a lower wattage, just get that nice cream, and then you get that bite from that root beer. Just works really well together. It's really, really good. But before we get down into the ins and outs of this 25 millimeter RTA, of course, Viking's Advocacy Minute happens every single time, guys. Get your stage. But like usual, with everything else going on right now, I just try to urge you to go to Twitter, sign up for notblowingsmoke.org, CASA.org, and go help our vape advocacy generals, or what I'm calling them, and that is, of course, Nick Grim Green, Matt from Suck My Mod or SMM, Phil, Dimitri, and even the Vaping Bogan. So definitely go help them out and check out their political connections that they are making and watch the everyday fight. So definitely help them because they are fighting for all of our rights to vape, and they do need assistance. But the Surpreme V3, I'm ready. You ready? Yeah, we're ready. Let's go and drop the hammer on the Surpreme V3. All right, so what I got for you today is a new in the line of the SteamCrave Aromamizer line. This is the Surpreme V3. So of course on the outside you have SteamCrave's website, your color configuration here, more SteamCrave stuff there, its actual item number, and then of course on the back your scratch and check authenticity and barcode and all that. This is not going to have the package contents because this is of course the advanced kit, and they do have two different kits. They have a basic kit and advanced. So we'll take a look at what's on the inside of the advanced kit. Alright, so in the advanced kit, main differences is the advanced kit's going to have your mesh deck kit like you've seen on previous ones before, and you'll also have your postless deck that's in here, which you've seen on the other reviews, just looks like that. Then of course you're going to get your bag of spares right there, a little silicone for the top of the lid, little tri-tool. You're going to get another chimney piece. You do have your 510 adapter here, which will match the color of your tank as well. You will have a bubble glass to increase its capacity, and of course you'll have the device itself. And at the bottom of the box you will have, of course your SteamCrave sticker, and you will have your manual right here. And of course on the back of the manual, show you different ones here. You have the Aromamizer Lite and with the Nero 1.5, the Supreme, the Aromamizer Plus V2, and of course the Ragnar. You see me use that all the time. And one of the things I did definitely want to point out in their manual is, look in here, it says flip over your AFC ring to get more airflow options. Dual slits are set higher. This is suggested for mesh deck and single coil deck. And what they're showing you is the larger slit. If you flip this guy over, so the larger slit's at top, that'll be better for the single deck and mesh. Because if you look here, upside down is basically for larger slit at the bottom. Is going to be more for your series deck, postless deck, stuff like that. So I went ahead and flipped it. It does come pre-installed that way. I went ahead and put it the other way just in case. And then with a lot of their products, since they are an RDTA, since they do have a juice flow control, I've heard a lot of people with, especially the Ragnar, have issues with it leaking. All I do is literally puff on it a couple times without hitting the button, flip it upside down, turn off the juice flow control, and then boom, I can turn it back up and not have a single problem. And they do tell you here the same way with that is turn it upside down, basically getting the juice out of the bottom here. Then you close it off and that traps it. So when you open it up, it's not going to come through the bottom. Again, I definitely highly suggest that. It never leaks on me. All right, so we'll take a look at the device itself. So I did get the black and you got this nice resin drip tip. They're doing some really cool stuff with their drip tips now. So you got kind of like a little red and green drip tip, but it's actually very comfortable, very smooth. And of course, on the top, as usual, you have whatever it is. So like this is Supreme V3, the Ragnar has Ragnar, so on and so forth. Your juice flow control is right through here. Pretty simple. You got your lock. You can kind of see down in there, it's all solid. Turn that to unlock, and you'll see those ports open right up. And of course, you'll have, like the Ragnar, like the Aromamizer Plus, you'll see this different kind of airflow that they went with. You got a slit there, the two slits, and of course wide open, all essentially honeycomb. Now on the bottom here you do have designed by BJ, and your serial number looks like I got number 15. That's pretty awesome there. And then of course the 510 pin is protruding, nice enough for hybrid safe. So we'll go and tear this guy apart, and we'll take and we'll show off the deck on, of course, little bearded Viking CoHost stand there, like a little channel black and red there. So shout out to Brent, great atomizer stand maker, well, anything resin maker. So if you didn't catch his last show, I was on there, you'll see what I'm talking about. He's building some really cool stuff. So this is the new single coil deck. I did actually purchase one of these for the Plus V2. It was a little bit different, but pretty much exactly the same. And in at least the Plus V2, it was okay. I think good possibility with the smaller chamber and everything I'll show you on the Supreme, it's going to work a lot better. But as you can see, you got some airflow on this side, which will actually come through the back end here. And then you'll actually have some under coil airflow as well. So very reminiscent of kind of how the Ragnar is working right now. And if you've seen any of my reviews, that thing is just kicking out flavor. Has been since day one. But it's kind of the same thing. You got bottom and side airflow with this. So, and when you put this in the actual tank itself, you're going to have your airflow on this side as well. So you're going to have two sides of side airflow and then your underneath. So should produce some pretty decent flavor. And of course you got your peak insulator running through that side there. Just some Allen screws in there, which I definitely like those better than try to jam a flathead or something in there. And then your juice wells here. Now with most of the SteamCrave products, I do not, if you take and look through here, if you can see it well enough, it's a little dark, these juice wells go to the bottom through here. A lot of people will tend to if they have any wicking issues, it's because they're tucking their wicks all the way through because they think it needs to dangle into that juice, basically well cup, whatever you want to call here at the bottom of it. Never ever had that problem. That if I do leave them too long and they're dangling, that's when I tend to actually have more issues. I basically like it so they're not coming out at all. They just get kind of tucked right into there. And with, I think that just the tipping when you vape, that makes sure that stuff in the cup will still keep coming up to your wicks. So if you're having a problem with any SteamCrave products and wicking, I think seriously the long tails of capillary action kind of work against it. So just, put your cotton down in there. Just make sure you're not poking it all the way through and you have that long dangles to it. So, and again, personal preference, so I could be completely off from what you experience. That's just what I experience with all their products. So, but you got the white silicone right here, and a lot of the silicone in this guy is the white silicone, not the black. Some people might not like that. I haven't had a problem with it. Get back into the rest of the tank, and as you'll see here is what I was talking about. When you put that guy in here, you're going to get one side of the airflow that's going to come to the back end, but then of course on the opposite side you'll have your airflow there. So you're going to get airflow, airflow, and then of course airflow. So taking this guy apart a little bit more, one of the things that I thought was really nice just opening this up and cleaning it is it's no longer a full screw top. They did a quarter turn, so they did go to that quarter turn notch system. If you look at their chimney in this guy, it is literally probably half of the size of the normal chimneys in like the Ragnar or the Plus V2. This one is definitely going to condense that vapor to hopefully get a lot more flavor directed at you. Definitely condensed and all that. With the Ragnar and the Plus V2, you did have those chamber reducers you can pop down in there. They worked really well, especially certain flavors. They really kicked them up a notch or two. This one is definitely meant for single coil, lower wattage. It's not going to have that insert that you have to take in and out depending on what purpose you're using it for. So this should be pretty good little upgrade there. So again, like anything, you can take all this stuff apart. You can take this out. They have another one in there as well. And the other one in there basically opens it up a bit more. So if you're using the series deck, or if this is just too darn tight for you, or if you're just using something that's a little bit more of a hotter build than this really restrictive direct lung chimney, you would definitely want to change that out to this guy. We're going to leave this in here because I'm going to go with a pretty safe, sane, single coil build just to see what kind of flavor production there is out of this guy. All right, and so what we're going to do is we're going to throw in some coils for the people. I don't know how well this is going to show up because that rainbowy, but these are a set of Swedish-made coils, premium coils. It's Tuus. They are a 3-core fused Clapton. I actually got these from some of the Bogan winning there I just got. So I was like, hey, some Swedish coils, that'd be a good idea. So some 3-core fused Claptons here, nice and pretty on those guys. Very, very nice. Pretty stoked to use these guys. So I'm not sure, I've never heard of them before out of Sweden, but looks like they got some pretty good stuff. Now looks like these are supposed to be pretty rowdy. They're supposed to be a 0.1 for the set, so we're looking at going to be right at about a 0.2 mark. Go-to juices to make sure the flavor is spot on is I'll of course be running Zolo by Darkstar, which if you haven't heard what that is a nice grape soda. So all right, let's get this going. open this guy up. If we did it right, there we go. We got the bubbles. All right. So let's go back up on top. Let's vape on it, and I will let you know where you can get it, how much, and what I think of the Surpreme V3 by SteamCrave. All right, we are back up with the Surpreme V3. So, of course, like usual, get some particulars out of the way. So, some of the particulars are, of course, price. There's going to be two different kits. They've been doing that a lot with, starting with the Plus V2. You're going to have the regular kit or basic kit. I know a couple US sites has it for like, I think $46.99, SteamCrave $49.99, or you can get the advanced kit, which comes with like the mesh deck accessory box for $69.99. And of course, there are different colors available right here. Boom. You got your gunmetal, you got your stainless steel. There we go. You have black, and then you have this kind of really neat blue, but all the drip tips are supposed to match it, I wouldn't say perfectly, but they're supposed to accent and match it. Where if you look on that one, it showed it was on the black, it was mostly red with what looked like a little bit of blue or green. Well, with my drip tip, because they are, all resin, they're going to be different, various in colors. Mine's a little bit of red and then a lot of the green in there. So going to be a little bit different, but they're trying to do as well as they can to match it a bit. And one of the things I thought was really cool when you get the little adapter that's in there, the 510 adapter, it is color coordinated. So if you have black, it's black. You have gunmetal, it's gunmetal, silver, blue, all the same little matching in there. So when you put in your 510, it's still going to be nice and matchy. So got the price out of the way. Pros and cons. Well, before we do pros and cons, I guess a couple other things that I didn't say in a dive down that I was just remembering. So the chimney itself, the smaller one is the 5mm chimney in diameter. The one I have in there is the bigger one, that's 7mm. And then when you do the straight glass, it's 6mm capacity, and then the bubble adds another mil, so it's 7mm capacity. So there's some more specs. Sorry, I almost forgot those. But anyway, pros and cons. One of the first pros I had, and I had it with the Ragnar to begin with, they're doing some really cool stuff with their drip tips. They're super comfortable. They look really good compared to the older stuff. But yeah, the feel, the look, the smoothness, everything, they're just killing drip tips all of a sudden. So that is definitely so. From top, we're going to say drip tip pro. The new thing that they did, instead of having that full threaded like the Ragnar Plus V2, all the ones before this, instead of that full thread, you got that little quarter turn, and then it comes right in. Very easy, quick turn action. So that is pretty awesome. And then of course pro, 7mm capacity with the bigger chimney. I do find myself filling it up, of course, more than like the Ragnar and stuff like that with a dual coil setup, but it's still pretty decent amount of juice. I tend to chain, so I tend to fill this up a couple times a day. But then you almost get into the point of like, well, just get something bigger if you think you're filling it up too much. But with the single coil, it was probably more of once a day. So, not as much juice usage. So definitely doesn't look even really that bad with the bubble. So I got to give the capacity and even the bubble a pro for aesthetics, and of course the holding power. That's still a pretty decent amount of juice. And of course their juice flow control. That is going to be a subjective, pro and con. I like it for the fact that once, I am packing it away, like going to work or something like that, I turn that off. So that if it does tip over, you don't have that juice just spewing all over the place because it's been completely cut off. Could be a con for you because you might not want to fiddle with it. Now, with most of my tanks, the way I refilled them is I would take and tip it upside down, let all the juice run back down, and then lock the juice flow control, then open the top and then fill it. This guy, I'm not do that yet with the single coil, the dual coil. I just don't think it's that dependent on being sealed. Like even the Ragnar, if I don't have the wicking 100% spot on, if I don't do that little trick to refill, it can start to leak a little bit out of the sides. Haven't got to do it on this. So what they did on this, juice flow control or not, it's still, in my opinion, a pro. The AFC, it's like all the ones we've seen before. It's a pro into the fact that it's so customizable to how you want to vape, whether it's the single line, the dual line, or triple line, or even if you want to, you can, what I was doing with the root beer there for a bit, was even taking and using 3 lines, but only opening up some of them. And it worked really well until I put a different setup in there. So definitely, I mean, pro on customization. Vape the way you want to vape, right? Uh, so literally the only cons I would have to say is really not much. Some was user error. I did have the smaller diameter chimney in there. Was trying to use the dual coil, wasn't thinking about it, and I wasn't getting that enjoyable vape. Noticed was like, oh yeah, there's a bigger diameter one, so that works really well. So I don't know. Some people might like the insert portions they were doing with the Plus V2, and you can even do it with the Ragnar, than having to change out the whole chimney. So that could be a con, but it really isn't. Once you figure out your setup, you're not going to touch anything anyway. So, but versatility, you got airflow, you got chimneys, and then you have all the decks. Single coil works really well. Dual coil, as long as it's not some big honking chunky coils, working really well. So yeah, overall, I would have to say if you want a smaller RTA, definitely grab one of the Surpreme V3s because you're going to get almost the same kind of performance out of this that I do of the Ragnar, but of course a whole lot smaller, a lot more form fitting. That would be probably my only con. I was thinking about that. So one thing I wish they would have done, because there is some room in here that they could have wiggled around. Most side by side mods are 20, can do up to a 24 millimeter. So this is like the uh, Aromamizer, the 1.5 that came out with the inserts to make it more MTL friendly. And that fits on like, you know, little Sunbox and Ambition mods side by side, but it's 24. This won't fit on there. So that is a very subjective con. If you don't have any side by side mods, you're like, who cares? But for you side by side guys, usually the ones that will do more than 24 millimeter are the really higher end, expensive side by side. So that might be a con to you. So if you're looking for this for your side by side and you don't have the really high end 3D printed ones, it will not work. What I would suggest for that is like the Aromamizer, version 1.5. That works much better. But yeah, just really, really good. They did a really good job. So now you got the Ragnar, now you got this. So they're definitely nailing the RTA game right now. So, but that is all I got for the Surpreme V3 today. I want to thank each and every one of you yet again for coming to Vape with a Viking, and I'll check you later.